A brilliant queen sacrifice. That's a beautiful fork, and white is just crushing it. What moves? What style? Garry Kasparov is an absolute genius. Want to see more? Well, in today's chess video, we are going to explore some of the most incredible moves of Garry Kasparov. Do watch the complete video as I also have an exciting giveaway for you all. Now let's start with the first game. It's from one of my favorite apps, Chess Universe. We go to the Chess Academy and then Garry's Keep. Alright, so in this game, Garry is playing as white, and as you can see, this knight is under attack. But he's not one to step back. Instead, he offers a rook exchange. Black obviously takes back with the knight, and now, can you find the best move for white in this position? Well, he decides to sacrifice his rook for the knight. And surprisingly, black just resigned in this position. The point is that the queen is pinned, so he has to take the rook. And then white has this sneaky queen a3 check. Believe it or not, the king is trapped. So black has to sacrifice his queen, and soon it's going to be game over. Moving on, in this game, Garry Kasparov is playing as black, and he has just been attacked by the rook. Now what can you play here? Do you save your queen? Well, Garry went for the bishop check, which in fact is the best move in this position. He can't take with the queen because then this rook is hanging. Therefore, he moves away his king. Now what? You still want to save your queen, right? You can do that, but there's a better move. Garry went for the kill. He goes rook to d8, threatening a back rank mate. If he takes the rook, then after the exchange, the queen becomes very deadly along this open d file. Therefore, the rook comes here. The queen finally takes a sigh of relief. He again can't take because of this checkmate threat. And if he takes the bishop, can you find the most accurate move in this position? Look, if you don't play this correctly, your king is doomed. Therefore, the best way is to start with forcing moves. Here, only one way is the right way, and that is queen e4 check. And now it should be easy. If king c1, then this is a checkmate, and if king goes to the corner, then knight check, and then a double check with the queen and knight, and finally the queen pounces on the king and gives him the kiss of death. On that note, you can also blow me a kiss by clicking the like button below. So do hit that thumbs up button right now. On to our next game. Kasparov is playing as white. What do you think? What move would you play here? Well, mere mortals like us would mostly say either take this pawn or push this pawn forward. But we are talking about Kasparov here. He played the stunning bishop f6. What a move! If black takes, then he opens up the g file for the rook, and also the queen can jump in and corner this isolated king. Therefore, in this position, black decided to offer a queen exchange. Kasparov is least interested. He goes rook g3, preparing to tear apart the king side. If black takes the queen, then after rook takes, the king is in trouble and it will soon end in a checkmate, just like this. Therefore, in this position, black pushed this pawn forward. But then, Garry played queen d1, defending the rook on the back rank and targeting all kinds of attacks on the king side. Black takes this pawn with the hope of covering up, but it's too late. First rook takes, then queen takes, and now it's just a matter of time, so eventually black resigns and Garry wins the game. Next up, we have Garry Kasparov versus Nigel shot. Garry is playing as white and he's on the attack. Can you find a way to strike the exposed king and finish this off? Well, going by his natural attacking instincts, Garry straight away captured this pawn. You might think, what if knight takes? You lose the knight for free, right? Yes, but then you have this queen check. He has to protect this knight, so king h7 is the only option. And now, can you find the killer move in this position? Look, both the knight and queen are attacking this pawn. So we have the defensive, at the same time very attacking, bishop to c2. He obviously can't take with the knight because then white simply forks the couple. Also, this pawn push would throw a discovered check and this helpless king won't survive long. Therefore, in this position, black did not take the knight. Instead, he moved his bishop, preventing this pawn push. And guess what Kasparov played here? He replied with the feisty bishop takes on f7, creating these multiple threats, and black surrendered. Because say for example, if rook takes, we have queen g6 check, king goes back, and queen g8 is a checkmate, so black had to resign. Alright, the next game is Garry versus Vishy. Garry with the white pieces has just gifted away his rook on a1. What does he play now? Are there any discovered attacks on the queen? And if he wants to move the bishop, what would be the best square? It is actually bishop h6, and that's what Garry played. The queen is being attacked, so he goes to c3. And now bishop takes because it is defended by the queen. If black does not capture this bishop, then he simply loses his rook. Plus, this king is openly on display, so it won't last long. And if black takes, then you don't even need to take back the bishop because we have a mate in 2. Can you find it? Yes, first queen h5 check. Anywhere he goes, queen f7 is a beautiful checkmate. Alright, let's check out the next game. Garry is again playing as white. Black just moved his knight here, so we have a discovered attack on the queen as well as this pawn. But this black king is also vulnerable, so how do you go about it? What is the best move for white? Well, you can take this pawn with a check, but Garry first decided to get rid of this knight. He can't take the queen because rook e8 and it's game over. Therefore, black takes the bishop. And now, he takes the pawn with a check. This pawn is defended by both the rook and queen, so if he takes with the knight, then it will soon be a checkmate just like this. And if he goes to the corner, then knight h4 and this knight g6 checkmate is unstoppable. Therefore, in this position, black went for king f8, but then white promotes and black does not stand a chance against these devilish white beauties. Alright, so this is Garry Kasparov versus Van der Wiel. Garry is playing as white, and as we can see, he has so many options to capture. But to gain a match-winning advantage, you need to play the correct move order. Can you find it? Well, Garry captured this knight first. Black obviously takes back. And now what? Both this pawn and bishop have strong backups, but still, Garry just captured on c5. He gave away his rook for the bishop. That is Garry Kasparov for you. Can you find his winning idea? Well, he basically targeted this overloaded queen. Look, if black recaptures with the queen, then we have this a5 check and it's curtains for black. And even if he does not capture with the queen and takes with the pawn, Garry simply gets this rook and white is easily winning this game. Now getting to the giveaway, it's from our friends at Chess Universe. For those who don't know, Chess Universe is a gamified chess app which makes playing chess so much more fun. Recently, a lot of new features and puzzles have been added here. For example, the Queens of Chess. Inspired by the Netflix series Queen's Gambit, this tower features puzzles based on the best games played by female players. Also, you can now play time-bound puzzles to improve your speed chess and tactical skills. Then there are these interesting positions from the famous games of our 20 world champions. So you can challenge yourself and learn from the greats of the game. Another interesting addition is the Tavern, an online mode for beginners where each player gets 3 boosters to help them during the game in the form of hints, blunder shields, and position evaluations. Coming to the most requested feature, you can now link your Chess Universe account with your email to preserve your gems and towers. You can save your progress and enjoy the game from any device. So, with all these exciting features, 3 of you can win 500 gems and 10,000 coins in the Chess Universe app. All you need to do is subscribe to our channel, yes, and solve this puzzle. It is white's turn and you need to find the best move continuation. Comment below with your answers and 3 lucky winners who solve this correctly will get 500 gems and 10,000 coins that can be redeemed to unlock additional features in the Chess Universe app. App download link is in the video description. Guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching and I shall see you in the next one.